and you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Uh, yeah, yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions.
I don't think all Mavs fans look into the stats like I do.
It's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is the coach for the Raptors. I don't know if he's the reason why they won the 2019 championship. I feel like that was more of a team effort.
The Mavs cannot say we do not miss Seth Curry shooting threes.
This questions the firing of Dwayne Casey, who I think is a very underrated coach.
To me, the Capitals really pushed all their chips for this season.
Hello, I'm Mike Grimes, and you've been listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our sports opinions of the week. This revolves around all leagues, so we'll probably be referring to all of them. NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL. And this is a really good question from the man, Austin.
Yeah, this is something that's really interested me for a while now, is how does veteran leadership lead to postseason success? Do teams with a lot of veterans end up doing well, or do you need a good mix, or do you just need one veteran leader to kind of help push a team over the top? What are your thoughts?
So I do think you need veterans, especially if it's a young team, but I'm not just going to sign a random veteran. To me, I want a premier. I want a guy that makes that has success to the team. Like you brought up Pavelski before we started recording. I think he's a good example. I like Chris Paul with the Thunder, or the Suns too, when he was still a pretty active part. Things that I don't consider, or ones that I would shy away from, like I'm thinking Mavs, JJ Redick, when they traded for him, just because he wasn't really playing, he wasn't making huge contributions. Dirk, I think, would be a good one, though, even though they weren't postseason success. I kind of view this with players as well, just younger teams when you're building an environment and you're tanking. So that's just one thing, but I do think in baseball it matters, because I think that's one reason I'm not going to trust the Rays, because they keep, well, maybe a Rosarand is a veteran, but they keep churning out young guys, and there's not an older guy. And I think the more times you go to the postseason, you gain experience, you understand the flows of a game. Because I do think playoff games, there's a lot of highs and lows.
Yeah, that's true. I do want to ask you this as well. Does the leader have to be a great player? Could it be a role player that just had a lot of experience from past runs? I'll try to give you an example. Let me think. Well, I guess from this past year, it'd be maybe they'd have to be like a former star player that's not that good anymore. I think would be a good way to put it, if you know what I mean. Who doesn't really have a huge role this season when they're playing, but has a lot of experience and really help grow the players that he is mentoring.
I want to say maybe, like, I don't want a guy that's just coming in every now and then. If he's a role player and he has a designated role and he helps a team in moments, I would say yes. I just don't want them picking, like JaVale McGee, for example, or that role for the Mavs. I'm just coming up with the Mavs stuff because this is where I see it the most. To me, that's not helpful, because if you're a player that's kind of hard to talk to, you're going to be like, why should I listen to you? You're not doing anything. But if I'm looking at a Dorian Finney-Smith role or a backup point guard role, like Mike Conley on that Timberwolves team this year.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he'll probably be. I still think he could be the starter this year, but you want them playing no matter what if they're going to be a veteran leader.
Yeah, I want them making, and I don't want to have them being bad when I play them. I want them to be making good contributions.
And this is obviously for a team that does well in the postseason.
Yeah, I think you can maybe have guys on the bench, but if it's a very young team, I think you need a guy playing a lot. But if you have a star player that's played 4 years and you got a veteran guy on the bench, then I'm cool with it. I'm just thinking very young teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say you can have a lot of bench veterans on, like, let's say the Rockets on the past couple of years, or a team that's very bad to kind of help the young guys out. But I would agree for postseason success reasons, it's really hard to have a guy whose position is basically just a bench to be a veteran leader in the playoffs, because you have to show that composure in playoff games. You have to show that, hey, we can still do it. It's okay, even if it's a player that's not going to play as much, because it's really hard to impact the game when you're not in.
Yeah, I agree. And more on hockey, I don't really know, but I feel you have to, if you have a fourth line guy, that's probably helpful, or a captain. Baseball, I think you need a key contributor. And what qualifies as a veteran is my question. I think it's 5 or plus years and has playoff experience to me.
Well, technically, a veteran when you go like to NBA or stuff like that, I think it's 4 years. Five is fine. We'll just say five for the scheme of this video. But when I'm talking about veteran leadership, you usually don't look to 5 year guys for veteran leadership. So when I say veteran leadership, I usually mean like 8+. And they don't necessarily have to be players that have won something or have been star players before. But when you look up to veteran leadership or look up to veterans, you're not really looking up to the guy that's 4 years in, 5 years in. You're really looking up to the guy that's 8 to 10.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that. I understand that. I'm trying to think. So, a guy, I'm gonna pick off. Ooh, man, this is bad. I'm not thinking of one. Well, so do they don't have to win a World Series, right?
No, they just. I would say they have to go far though for it to count as postseason success, or at least further than they're supposed to, or exactly how far they were supposed to go, I guess. But they'd have to go at least to, I think, the ALCS or NLCS in baseball.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of guys, but I keep thinking of World Series winners.
I mean, it could be a World Series winner. That's fine. But
Okay.
when I think of
Because
you go,
because Freddie Freeman immediately stands out to mind what he's doing with the Dodgers. I think of Dansby Swanson with the Cubs.
I think with the Dodgers as well. I think JD Martinez, a guy that's been very,
Yes.
very, very good, and he's much older, but he's still playing. He's still the DH for the team. Um, for the Rangers, I guess you would put Seager there. It's just, I think, harder when you're hurt to make that impact. And then I guess in pitching, you'd have to be a Aroldis Chapman. I think that'd be the closest guy to a veteran leader, because I
I
don't think
don't
they really have any other pitcher that I would consider.
know Scherzer. I don't like Chapman just because of he has off the field issues.
I guess Scherzer, but my thing with Scherzer is he's just, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. He's like Zach Greinke. He's a very interesting person. I don't know how much
Yeah,
he
okay.
is as a leader. I don't know. I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm not gonna claim that he is. I'm not gonna claim that he isn't. He's just. This is why he's so good. Is because he's so different than other people.
Yeah.
But that can really be off-putting to a lot of players.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. When I thinking of Rangers and guys that haven't won World Series, I think Marcus Simeon's a good one.
Yeah. The problem with Simeon is he doesn't have that playoff experience, and it's
Yeah.
really hard to, like, if you're going to the playoffs for basically the first time or close to the first time, it's hard to. You're doing the same thing as the rookies. You're learning with the rookies, or with the young guys. So it doesn't really, like, obviously you will probably have more composure because you're older and you've played more games, but the playoffs are just such a different animal that I don't necessarily know if you're going to have that impact.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And then yeah, so I do think it's important. It's difficult just because it's hard to find guys in that role, but once you figure out that role, I think it's fantastic.
I think a good veteran guy, especially with the young receiving core that the Cowboys have, would be a Brandon Cooks. Or when you
I
go
love
back
Brandon
to
Cooks.
the Panthers, Adam Thielen. Thielen's been in the league forever and to really help out a young QB. So those are two wide receivers. I do think wide receiver or tight end is a very good spot to be for a young QB or to be a leader on a team when it's obviously not the QB. Because to be the QB and to win it, you're going to win any. Like I don't know if Brady is obviously a veteran leader, but he's obviously more than that. But the role, I think, of Cooks this next year, he's not the wide receiver one. So he's not supposed to be your best option. But he's still supposed to produce. And then he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's been to the Pro Bowl. He's had many 1,000-yard seasons. So he definitely has that experience that a lot of players don't have. Actually, he's never made a Pro Bowl, which is crazy considering he had a 1,200-yard season with the Rams. But he's had 6 1,000-yard seasons. He's caught 49 touchdown passes in his career. Like I said, he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He knows what it takes to get there, and obviously he lost both of them, which is I don't think takes away from him as a leader. But his role now is not to be the wide receiver one; it's to help the guys below, to help the Jalen Tolbears, to help the younger receivers kind of get the gist of playing. And when it come playoff time, Cooks is the guy that's been further than basically any of the Cowboys have.
Yeah, I do love the Brandon Cooks move because for all the reasons you said, and I think he's also probably their second best wide receiver, and he adds a different dimension. But I also like Stephon Gilmore. Did he win?
Yes,
he didn't win.
Yes.
Okay,
He
so it
got
was
the
later.
game-winning pick.
Oh, okay, my bad. Oh, it was against the Rams.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. But he's Defensive Player of the Year, and he was on a really good defense. Yeah, the Patriots, of course. Man, I didn't realize he was there that long.
He was with the Patriots for 4 years, yeah.
4 years? Oh, okay. But I really like that. And there are guys who I don't think are getting valued right now because the Cowboys both traded 5th-round picks for him.
Yeah, and Gilmore definitely had a down year last year, only playing 5 games with Indianapolis. But he was, not playing as well. He was number 5. He played 16 games. But he only had an AV of 5, which is why I said that. Which isn't that great. But I do think that he still has something in the tank. And worst comes to worst, he's the 3rd or 4th best cornerback on the team. And he has that veteran leadership. Like you said, Defensive Player of the Year, multiple-time All-Pro, multiple Pro Bowlers, won a Super Bowl. He can help you get over the hump.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I think we're both in agreement. It helps, but it's difficult to find that role player, and that's just another key into building a championship team.
Yeah, this really is where GMs can get their value because obviously you can hit on the number 1 overall pick, but can you hit on the free agent signing that's going to help that number 1 overall pick get even better?
Yeah, and how do you figure out the personality of that player? So that's all we got. And Austin, I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully you'll catch us on the next one.